respective conferences went head-to-head Friday night. The Toronto Raptors snapping the Houston Rockets win streak at 17. The Raptors went 15 for 38 from three, while the Rockets matched their season low, which is 9 made threes. The final score was 108 to 105, but the MVP favorite, James Harden, isn't concerned. He said, "I don't even feel like we lost." Same swag. The third-seeded Trailblazers also snapped the Warriors' 7-game win streak. The Warriors still sit a half game behind the Rockets and second in the West. And in the loss, they had just 20 total assists, their second lowest of the season. No Steph Curry in this one. That's Dame telling us it's Dame time. Due to ankle injury for Curry, the Blazers won 125 to 108. So both the Rockets and Warriors have won 51 games this season. They're similar statistically in major offensive categories, apart from three-pointers made, where the Rockets hit nearly 15 and a half every game. The Rockets also won the season series with the Warriors 2-1. So the Rockets had won 17 in a row. James Harden is quick to remind us that this is just one loss. But did you see the Raptors beating the Rockets in their own game, at their own game in that one?
No, with the way you asked that question, Kristen, no, I didn't see that. But what we have seen is Dwayne Casey has tweaked things a little bit. They're taking more threes as a team. Even the mid-range assassin, DeMar DeRozan, takes a few more threes ever in his career. But it's the defensive focus that we've seen going down the stretch. A lot of people say, yeah, you live by the three, you die by the three. Well, you got to have contested threes. So I thought the Raptors' defense was better than we've seen recently against the Rockets. So that's why they only had 9 made threes. So you take your hat off to that. In late game situation, the way the ball is hopping and moving around for the Raptors, finding the right people, and then a guy like Kyle Lowry steps up in a big game. It reminds all of us, yes, let's call it what it is. Last couple of years, he kind of disappeared late in the playoffs, but right now, his legs are back because the Van Fleets of the world has given those legs some rest. So now Coach K said, okay, let me let you loose now. I've been kind of saving your legs all season long because our bench is better. Now it's time for you to show up.
So you think this is more about the Raptors' defense than the Rockets' struggling offense?
No, I give it all to the Raptors right now. We know what the Rockets can do. Now the Raptors are showing us they can shoot more threes than time before, but their defense is still solid.
How important, Rod, do you think home court advantage is for the top 2 teams in the Western Conference, if those two were to go to the Western Conference Finals?
Right. Well, I mean, just thinking of Toronto and Houston having the big brother with Golden State, you know, in front of them, I think it's a confidence booster just to have that home court advantage, especially against Golden State. And then you see Toronto with Boston and Cleveland right behind them. If I'm Toronto and I'm DeRozan and Lowry, you know, I want to go home. I want to play. I want to make sure I got a 7th game at home.
Chris Paul has said that he needs to do more down the stretch. James Harden said that it was the entire team. Where do you see areas of improvement for this Rockets team at this point in the season?
Well, I think Chris Paul and Coach D'Antoni has figured out where obviously James is going to set the table, but when James is off the floor, now he can have extended rest because Chris Paul can carry that second unit. During that players-only game the other night in OKC, Chris Paul was flying around like he was still at Wake Forest. I said, Chris, what's going on? He's like, it's the D'Antoni system. My legs feel great because they don't practice. There's no 3- and 4-hour practice. He's been in situations, and you know this, Rod, there's certain coaches that this late in the season will still have 2- and 3-hour practice. D'Antoni barely has shoot around. So they watch tape, they know the system, and you make sure you police yourself. So after the game, Chris Paul's in the weight room, on the treadmill, on the bike, getting extra workout in because he understands that he has to make sure he takes care of his body because Coach D'Antoni doesn't practice.
But Chris is also having fun, and that can't be underestimated. He told me he was having the best time playing basketball since Wake.
And with that being said, ball movement, wait a minute, they don't move the ball that much. The ball's back in Chris Paul's hands and James Harden's hands, but you have 2 guys that can create so much offense for themselves, and now it makes easy offense for all the role players. And when the ball does hop, let's face it, it's wide open threes on the weak side of the floor.
Let's talk a little bit more about the Golden State Warriors because this has been a back-and-forth battle at 1 and 2 all season long. In Stephen Curry's 9-year career, he's injured his ankles 18 total times, 4 just since December. How concerning at this point is his health?
Well, I'm sure they may say it's not, but I think it is concerning. He has the history. It's getting late and close to becoming playoff time. You obviously need Stephon Curry to make that big push for the championship. So it's something that we have to keep watching and take a look at, and you know, hopefully he'll be ready to play.
Do you see it as more of a long-term issue, Dennis?
I would like to say no because he's been through it before. As a team, we saw last year when Kevin Durant went down, he stepped up as MVP and carried the team until everyone got healthy. I think in this situation it's pretty much the same. Lately, Kevin Durant, 40 and playing very well, even though they lost to Portland the other night. So I think there's enough there. But obviously, they're not going to go back and win the whole thing if Steph Curry's now on the floor. So I'm sure they're going to make sure that that ankle is as strong as can be before they let him back out on the floor.
You don't think they could win it without him?
No question about it, they could not.
No, I think that's a tough goal, yeah.
Without Steph, no. As much as we love KD, as much as I love my nephew Klay Thompson, as much as we love Draymond, you're bringing in Swaggy P, you're bringing in Omar Caspi. Their bench now, to me, is not as for sure as we've seen the last couple of years. So I want to make sure, Wonder Boy is out there playing and healthy with those ankles.
And just want to clear up, Klay is not actually his nephew. He just is the Splash uncle of the Splash Brothers.
For someone to take it the wrong way. Thank you for doing that.
KD, though, you mentioned it, 40 points in 37 minutes. Do you think that he's building an MVP case while he carries this team without Steph?
Oh, definitely an MVP case, but he's kind of like LeBron James.
We take advantage of him, right?
Take him for granted because he's going to do it year in and year out. And if you really look at it, he can be MVP every year. So, I think we take him for granted. I think he's putting up the numbers. Steph is out. He's carrying the team. So he's always going to be in the discussion.
And Kristen, this should be the year for me that when's the last time we've seen a MVP candidate and also should be in the candidate for Defensive Player of the Year.
Right.
And when you say that at first, unless you're new to watching what Kevin Durant's done the last 2 years, being in Golden State,
he could win it.
He
right.
has literally flipped the switch and saying, wait a minute. Team as a whole, leading the league in shot blocking. On the team, he's 2.1 or 2.2 a game. Last year, he had 7 blocks, 1 game, career high. So defensively, he's proven to us now he can be just as potent as he does on the offensive end.
I was reading about this game against the Trailblazers, and I wanted to ask you if you think that the Warriors' weaknesses were revealed in that game, or do you think it was more so about a lineup lacking because of injury?
A lineup lacking injuries, and let's give the Blazers some love because Dame Lillard and C.J. McCollum played lights-out basketball. My question for Portland big picture, is Nurkic enough to give him some touches when guys are not making jump shots? And can Napier and the Ed Davises of the world off that bench be solid like they've shown us lately?